Hello, I'm Mark Baer. You're watching the YourTown television program. My guest, Jake Padorr, musician, artist, postmod mofo, the dude.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Appreciate it.
So, again, a year has come and gone since we've been on this show, and you've had a wild year, and kind of part of it, I saw the last show of the Virtuals at West End, and Fly Trans Love Airways get you there on time. It was, blew me away. So
glad to hear it.
So let's you've made a lot of changes this year. Let's talk about, first of all, musically, what's been going on.
Yeah, well, like you said, that was our last show with the band, the Virtuals, and since then, I've really picked up my solo music. Really kind of got that rolling more, playing shows, 1 or 2 shows every weekend, and it's really allowed me to truly tap into my singular musical sound and expression than ever before, and it's brought me to kind of unique venues and unique show opportunities, such as yoga studios and art galleries, things that I wasn't doing with my previous group. You know, we were a rock and roll band, and my music can kind of be flexible like that, and I can play dive venues in the city in San Francisco, or I could do yoga studios out here in Carmel, and I could kind of bend my sound to adhere to that kind of environment because this solo music is kind of seen as soundscaping. It has a wide range of expression.
Yeah. So when you, just so people can understand, when you say the word soundscaping, what do you mean? And we're going to have you play a little afterwards, so that we can see this. But how do you? What's the language for this?
Soundscaping is a loosely defined word that I believe is music that's made with the intention of translating the present energy into sound, the present environment energy into sound. So that could show itself in many different ways. It could show itself as ambient, instrumental, very meditative, therapeutic music, or it could be really activating, really rhythmic, and make you move. But it's not a typical song structure. There's no verses or choruses. It's not songs. It's sonic experiences, really.
You've always been an improvisational person, and situational improvisation, I guess, is what you would call this.
Yeah, it's I've found that playing the situation, playing the moment, is the thing that really turns folks on and really makes folks go, wow. When I play some of these cafes, I'll do a whole loop off of my electronic pedals here, off my loop pedals for guitar and vocals. And for example, I played this cafe called Beloved Cafe in San Francisco, a really lovely place with just like tea and leaves everywhere, and it's like a little jungle there. And I did a loop called a Beloved loop, where I did this whole melody of saying beloved, and everyone was into it because I was singing the place that we were all in, this container we were all in together. And I haven't performed that before that, and I haven't performed that since. So it's a unique experience. No one will ever see the same thing twice. And it's all really musical and, I guess in that sense, soundscaping.
Yeah, not a wise guy, but a wisdom guy.
A wisdom guy.
Wisdom guy. I like that saying. And you've been really, been on a quest, on a search, on a mission.
Yeah.
And I've seen it get deeper over the time.
Yeah.
And I have also seen you. Your chops are getting tighter.
Yeah, I think so. Where I live out in my cabin in the Ventana, it's allowed me to be a lot more focused, get a lot more work done than I've ever had before, and it's really allowed me to get really good at those chops and to really hone in on this kind of avant-garde style. You really have to trust it and be patient.
And you've got a community of musicians that are willing to hang with you.
Yeah, who are totally doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Almost every weekend we have a group of inspired friends come on out and make really, I guess, avant-garde music, but with intention. And it's stunning.
And serious about it. So you've been working on, kind of putting an album together.
Yeah.
How is that going?
Well, I haven't sent it out to any press or blogs or anything or any potential labels yet because it's not fully done. But all the recordings are there. I just need to finish some mixing and mastering. But basically, it's almost going too well. I have too many recordings to fit in one 45-minute LP, you know?
Yeah.
So I have to kill my darlings. And then I'm like, I can't do it as easily with this kind of music because they're all so experiential. They're also of the moment and of the situation that I can't really cross any of these songs off the list of what's going to make the album. It's hard. It's harder than the past with my folk music. I was like, all right, that folk song's not as good. I'll leave that out. But here I'm like, I made this one time only. I remember it so visceral, that moment, you know? And it also doesn't help, I guess it helps because I record every live show of mine and every live show of bands that I book. So I have all this material and it almost adds up and it's even harder to take away songs and keep a 45-minute album. So it's coming.
So
but I have enough songs is the problem.
So when you do record everything, how critical are you? Are you liking everything? Are you liking 50%? Are you liking 75%? Are you saying, gee, I missed this there? Are you seeing after the fact? Are you saying, wow, I really caught that most of the time? I mean, how does that work out?
I say 3/4 of the stuff is usable for potential. Out of everything I record, 3/4 of it I would say is usable for some compilation. But even if I mess up, I can go in there and cut it out and do a little
post
artificial, post stuff. But for the most part, it's very minimal editing and post because I've just gotten better at really nailing down improvisation, which is an oxymoron in a sense.
Right.
But yeah, I can do that in post, and I record most of my stuff in the studio at my cabin. So, but I'm moving soon. But it is called Sky Ranch Studios, so I do most of the stuff there.
So, are you part of something that's? Are you off on your own journey? Or are you part of something bigger here, and something bigger here that's particular to here?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's particular to Central Coast, or I guess California. I've met very like-minded musicians and artists down in Santa Barbara, up in San Francisco, up in Marin, Santa Cruz, San Luis Obispo area, and all up and down Big Sur Coast. And honestly, I think it's just the area. I think there's still this mindset, this spirit that is not withered away completely. And it's this magic potentiality in this area. I don't know if that answered your question, but you know, I feel it coming out here, and I feel like, especially in the Monterey area, there's, like I said, friends of mine who have come to the cabin are all making their own unique soundscape sound, but they're all doing this kind of approach to music, this environmentally influence of the situation music, which can have a bigger impact. You know, it can not be effective sometimes because it's of the moment, it wasn't planned at all or rehearsed, but when it works, it really works.
And you go back and forth between very structured songwriting. So I think having one without the other, structure is very helpful for improvisation, although
Totally.
it doesn't seem that way, but
No.
I think having, and the loosening up of improvisation really will help you take something, gives you more variety in what you'll do in a much more structured setting.
Right. Exactly. I think you need to have the skeleton and kind of the structure of when you're going to improvise, and that kind of helps you have a beginning, middle, and an end of improvisation, and you're not just poodling around jamming for hours. But it's nice to be inspired. As I'm doing this, I'm being inspired by my peers, and I think there is kind of a group of like-minded musicians. This art collective that we started, Children of the Sun Art Collective, which puts on kind of art activation events where we all come together and just create, collaborate in experimental music and tear down at the end of the night, and boom, what just happened? We just activated, and that's all part of it.
And then again, a big part of what you do is visual, and that's that's a huge part of what you do. You when you play a live show, you have backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have a real look, and then your look is very singular to you. Let's talk about how that's the genesis of that.
Yeah, Well, it started just on Photoshop doing some digital graphic design, what I call entering the symmetrosphere. It's my flow of digital design of photography. So I love photography. I've been shooting photos with any little camera I've had since I've been 13, and always like editing in weird ways that kind of change the whole visual to almost be otherworldly. And I'll take a picture of just a bushel of sprigs of eucalyptus trees, and then I'll symmetricize it, enter the symmetrosphere of flow and editing, and all of a sudden I created this like portal, and it seems to really be singular with my music. And for the first time ever, that's really lined up and streamlined. It's really rewarding to tap into a singular artistic spirit.
You know, I love the virtuals. You've had a foot in mid-'60s, late '60s, early '70s psychedelia, but you've always been finding the most obscure and the most authentic of that, and then made it something absolutely not nostalgic. You know, I think...
Not revivalist, but like fresh, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, in other words, you're taking an old language, but you're making it a new language. It doesn't feel nostalgic, because nostalgic always feels dated to me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a nostalgic person, and you're taking something that, there was the entering a different space, I guess, in psychedelia.
Yeah.
That and breaking through a wall and being in another kind of world and another state of mind and everything else that implies. But it's got a different meaning and a different application and a freshness and a new dusting off of something that could sound very dated.
Yeah.
You know, I always find that in your music that, freshness is of the essence.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's, it's kind of nice because I wasn't even into playing this kind of style that the virtuals played. Maybe in 2016 or 2017, I was really into jazz and hip hop and soul. And so things change really quick, and I take it all in. I don't brush off any new inspiration. I take it in with stride and look forward to the new pathways.
Yeah, and things reveal.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, so by the intensity of playing, and you're playing all the time. You're playing music all the time, and which everybody doesn't get to do. I mean, that's one of the things of living here and not having a ton of traffic.
Yeah.
So that the people can get to band practice. You guys can play, you can jam. It's.
And I lived in LA, and
yeah, it was a lot harder in LA. I'm
so
sure.
hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yes. There's less of an impulse to be insular or kind of create a community in LA. It's an impulse to maybe make it, and that puts you kind of on your own individualistic path. I'm all about community and kind of inspiring others.
Yeah, and you make the work, it makes itself, and it'll find its audience, and this is a viable place to be.
Yeah, I think so.
And you seem comfortable, it doesn't feel like the end of the world, it feels like the center of the world.
Yeah. And as long as I feel inspired and equally inspiring others, that's where the light source is, that's where the energy source is, and that's center for me.
Okay, we're gonna play some music.
make these drone noises with my mouth, with a trumpet sound called the trumpet, or the lipstrument, as people have called. This one's something that we just made the other night, just activating. It's like.